Hello, 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 and welcome to the Illuminated page. Hopefully you can hear me. If you can't, let me know. Let's see. No, you should be able to hear me. If I'm too loud, though, just tell me to shut up, and I'll kind of quiet down. But welcome to Horror on the Orient Express. This is technically season 4 of the Illuminated page, but this is the premiere of our new campaign and season. And I am super excited to be here with all of my lovely friends. This is all of them in total, all 4 of them. I'm going to go around on the screen and let you guys introduce things that you've been working on, introduce yourself, and maybe just a smidge about your character, but it doesn't have to be a lot because we'll get to that when we get to the game. So I'm going to start with Alyssa Appleton. If you could please give us a little hello and about yourself.
Sure, that is me. Hi, everybody. My name is Alyssa. Or on Twitch, you can find me at Brick and Switch. I did Spycraft here with Rook and Rasp before it was Rook and Rasp. And that was really fun. I haven't done an actual play, I think, since that. So I'm really excited to be back. And I am playing. I know, it really is. I'm playing Cleo Dandridge, who is the resident occultist among the group.
Yes, and yes, it is a shame that you haven't been on another AP since then. We'll have to get you on more after when the season breaks, if you have time. You're a busy bee.
I'm a busy bee.
Next in the layout is Alla. If you tell us a bit about yourself.
Hi, I'm Alla. You can find me on Instagram at Alla Zilla. I haven't posted in a while, but that's because there's work coming out in the near future. I'll share more as soon as it's actually been released. And I've been on a few shows here on Rook and Rasp, including one that's coming in a few weeks. But we'll talk about more about that later. I am playing Emily Bronte, who is our, I guess, ex-military. She is a survivor of the Great War. And she's kind of She's just a lovely, charming lady.
Lovely and charming are 2 things that I would definitely use to describe Miss Bronte. Next we have Shawn. Would you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hi, I'm Shawn. I am on several shows for Rook and Rasp. You may have seen me last season with our Master Neurothotep. I do The Voyages of... And tonight I'm going to be playing Kelsey Haskins. He is a locksmith. And for those of you that have watched some of our other streams, the name might sound a little familiar. I tend to reuse it when it makes sense, and sometimes when it doesn't.
There's a lot of Haskins with Shawn's characters. So
it's a genealogy.
That is, if Rook and Rasp ever gets its own like little fandom wiki, that will be like the Easter egg is how many Haskins have popped up. Across other, because you never know, somebody else might pick up a Haskins character just to have a little fun. Cool. But last but certainly not least, in the lowest square there is Matt. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
When Shawn was introducing himself, all I could hear was Troy McClure from Simpsons. You might know me from such films as.
I was going for
that. My name is Matt Quiett. You can find me on Twitter at Quiett. There's an extra T at the end there. I have done a couple of things here. I'm running our Star Trek stuff on Mondays, and I ran previously the X-Crawl stuff on Mondays. And then I ran the previous 3 seasons of Illuminated page, and now it's Roxy's turn to torture me.
Yeah, so...
Instead.
That's...
I'm playing Countess Johanna Elizabeth Frederica Rinaldi Stad. From Austria. That's where I was going.
There's a lot of names. I only put the first one and the hyphenated surname on the thing. So, again, for the fandom wiki, for whoever decides to start that, I hope you took notes for how many middle names there were for the Countess. That is our lovely cast of characters. We will get into them a little bit more as the show goes on, but like I said tonight, well, I guess I should introduce myself. My name is Rue, or Roxanne, or Roxy, whatever you choose to call me. I am everywhere on the internet as @RueWorks. I don't think I have a different username for a communication platform. So if you want to find me, that's where I am, and I'm all over this channel. Rick and Rasp is going by myself and my partner John, and this is kind of our favorite hobby. What we want to do: share RPGs with viewers like you. Maybe generate some interest. Maybe if you have an interest in being a part of a show, pop into our Discord. We have a week or a monthly show called Seriously Let's Play, where we invite new GMs, content creators, publishers, game makers, game devs to come on and maybe have somebody run their game for them. So if that sounds like something you'd be interested in being a part of as a player or a GM, give us a little line, drop us a line, and join the Discord. So, without further ado on that note, I think everybody knows us. We are playing Horror on the Orient Express. It was originally published by Chaosium, the publishers of the Call of Cthulhu RPG, in 1991. It was updated about 2014, and then I'm using the 7th edition variant that came out in 2020, and we're also using Pulp Cthulhu. So this is going to run a little differently than probably the normal horror. If you're familiar with the Orient Express story, hopefully this will be a little different for you. And I think even with these old adventure modules, as we learned with Masks of Nyarlathotep in the previous 3 seasons, every group runs it differently. Every group plays it differently. They go different places. They make different choices. So I hope that even if you're familiar with the property, that you have a good time here. And that's kind of where we are. We have done a session 0, so these players have played before. Some of that will come up during this game. We actually, to recap recent events, our players met for a New Year's Eve gathering at the house of Countess Rinaldi Stodd in Kensington in London. So other guests were academics and peers of Johanna's from the Imperial College, where she does some studies. Talk was varied, but after the others left, the four of you discussed some of what happened when you first met and worked with a Professor Julius Arthur Smith at a lighthouse off the coast of Arkham, Massachusetts in the late summer of 1921. So we begin our story in London on Monday, January the 1st of 1923. The city of London is bustling, as it tends to be. Even though it's been 100 years before our current timeline, as people in the real world, London was always, even by then, very bustling, very busy, lots of things happening. It is the capital of the British Isles. The Empire is still doing imperial things, as it does. And there's a lot happening in London at this time. We have, the British Museum has just opened a new exhibition, the Maudsley Collection, from famed archaeologist Alfred P. Maudsley, where and he is present for the debut. It contains all sorts of things from early Mayan tribes that he collected in the 1880s. That is a big to-do. When we find our characters, where I'm going to introduce into each of you individually and let you tell me kind of where you were, if you remember from our last time we played, where your characters chose to stay. We'll go ahead and start with Johanna and Miss Brandt. What do you find yourselves doing on the morning after your friends visited the night before? Where do you find yourself, and what are you doing the morning of Monday, January 1st?
Probably a late breakfast, given that we were up what I would assume was relatively late, chatting with our newfound friends. Just kind of enjoying a late breakfast, not really focused too much on getting anywhere, like what's there needs to be done. Nothing really. Classes are out, so I don't have anywhere to be, and I'm caught up on all the research I need to be on right now.
Fantastic. Yeah. Miss Brandt?
Emily is much in the similar vein. There's not really much to do if Johanna is staying at home for once and being a respectable adult. So she's probably just reading the newspaper quietly over tea or coffee.
Fantastic. And I don't believe you, Ms. Dandridge, and you, Mr. Haskins, I don't believe that you stayed in the same location. You did find 2 separate places to stay, correct?
Correct.
I think so. Yeah.
But you just traveled to Johanna's you happened to be on the same train. That was the case. Cleo, where are you this morning? What would you be doing?
Leo probably got up and got a quick breakfast and went out. You know, she hasn't really, we discussed this in our session 0, that she hasn't really been to Europe before. Her means have never allowed it. So she's done a lot of spiritual study on the East Coast of the United States. But now that she's abroad, she probably got up in the morning, got a quick breakfast, and is walking around the city just getting a feel for the spiritual life in the city beyond, you know, people just mulling around and doing their business and working and everything. She's probably trying to dig deep and get a feeling of its history.
Fantastic. Awesome. You see all sorts of things. Depending on where you take the train, you can get and see all of the big sites. And you have a couple days, as we said, you all have been invited to the lecture on January 3rd. So you're kind of just kicking around town for a couple days, getting a feel for the city as it is. Mr. Haskins, where are you and what are you doing this morning?
So I would have been probably the hotel closer to London, downtown.
Okay.
And I would have gotten up early, breakfast, coffee, and would have been already, depending on the time of day, making my... Talking's hard today for some reason.
That's okay.
Would have made meetings already to discuss security measures and locksmith and safes with the upper crust of London that are wishing to employ my boss's new technologies for safekeeping their wealth.
Very nice, very nice. So, Countess, do you reach out to your friends to perhaps meet, you know they're in town for at least 2 more days?
I probably would have suggested like a late lunch the next day.
Okay.
Just to continue the conversation, to make sure that not that London's my home, but like they're both from America, so they're probably confused. Cars are on the wrong side of the road.
It's just polite European hospitality.
Yeah, just to be, and honestly, they both represent something that I'm not used to dealing with. So
okay,
there's an interest there in continuing the conversation.
Okay, fantastic. Some places of interest just also to throw out for you guys where you might want to visit or check out while you're in London and are not otherwise occupied. You have, you have like St. Paul's Cathedral, which is very popular. You have the Tower of London. You have the British... I've already mentioned the British Museum, but there's also a library there and a reading room if you should wish to go there. There's the Victoria and Albert Museum is another one that has lots of very spectacular exhibits and a lot of casts and replicas of famous works that you might enjoy seeing. So there's all sorts of things that you might want to occupy yourself with over the next couple days. But Johanna has extended an invitation to both you. I assume you left your numbers or where she could call upon you in if she so desired. And so she has extended an invitation to both Ms. Dandridge and Mr. Haskins to join her and Emily for a late lunch, as it were.
So that constitutes a late lunch, 4 or 5 o'clock for
like 3.
Yeah,
like
so
3.
it's about 2 and 3 typically. And
yeah.
Is it going to be at the residence or are we going to take them somewhere?
No, it would definitely be downtown, somewhere near the sites. I assume they're both sightseeing. Even though that Kelsey said that he had meetings, I assume downtown is going to be an easy place for everyone to get to, and that's where a lot of the nicer spots to eat will probably be.
Absolutely. All right. So I'm going to say you all gather together. You arrive. The Countess and Miss Brandt arrive first, secure the table, make sure everything is proper, and then again, would you... I've asked you this before, Miss Dandridge. Would you be fashionably late, or would you just show up?
She would just show. She doesn't know what fashionably late means.
That's right. That's right.
So she tries to hit it as on the nose as possible because she doesn't understand the concept of being fashionably late.
Very nice. And Mr. Haskins, do you arrive on time, or are you bustling in late because of a meeting?
Let's see, about 3 o'clock. No, I'll be on time.
Okay.
Most of the meetings would have been done around noon.
Okay. Fantastic, yeah, and that does make sense because the typical time that you might call on someone for a private call would be like after 4 p.m. So you would probably, people that you'd be working with would want to have their business concluded by then. The thing that I love about kind of higher society British culture at this time, the wealthy, it's like if 3 o'clock is a late lunch, they don't eat dinner until after 7, and sometimes as late as 9 o'clock. So they have a big wide swath of time, which I guess tea is at 4, right?
Yeah.
Is that high
that's
tea?
what you have tea for. Yeah.
Well, pardon me, my Midwestern raising. So you all gather at a nice cafe in maybe London's West End. It's a little nicer than maybe some of you were expecting, but everything in the West End is a little nicer than most people are expecting. It is the as I would say, the higher falutin part of town. So as you meet and you eat, I'm sure you all order. I'm going to say, well, let me ask, Countess, is this your treat or is this Dutch treat?
Oh, I assume it was my treat. I'm not going to say anything. We don't talk about that kind of stuff. I invited them to lunch, so I'll pay for it.
Okay.
I'll take care of the finances later.
Emily's got to cook the books at a later time.
Yeah, I am her accountant as well.
Very nice, very nice. So yeah, order what you want, y'all. It's not on you. That's
within reason.
Within reason.
If you look at something really pricey, Emily just kind of like tilts the menu down a little bit so you're looking up.
While you're all waiting for your food, you actually are spotted by someone who knows you and is quite surprised to see you, and he kind of bustles over to the table and he's like, well, I didn't expect to see you all at the same place, and you are approached by a heavy-set older Englishman wearing a very nicely cleaned and smoothed like fedora style cap. He has a cane that he walks with and a big bushy, almost walrus like mustache, and you recognize very easily the presence of Professor Smith that you worked with previously and who has invited you to see to the Challenger Trust Banquet lecture on Wednesday evening. How have you all been? I'm so glad to see you in town already.
Quite well. I actually maintain a residence here for my studies at the Imperial College. How have you been, Professor?
Oh, quite well. I'm just excited to present some work on Wednesday night, and I'm just I love these trusty dinners. They feed you well. They want to hear a good story, see some fascinating pictures, and it will be quite a time. And I'm really thrilled that you all could join me and see what has transpired of some of the things that you helped me document.
Will we finally get to see some of the pictures you took? Were you able to get pictures of what we saw?
Absolutely. I'm so sorry I didn't include that in the letter. I'm saving the pictures for when we present them to everyone. But I think you'll be pleased. I think you'll be quite pleased to see what we were able to capture.
Any hints on some of the additional things that we might have experienced? Is that going to be in your lecture?
I mean, I documented everything that I documented were the things that I experienced. I do remember some of the other things that happened to you, but I don't have evidence of those things, unfortunately, and they want to be amazed with sights a compelling argument, not necessarily assault and battery, as it were.
Fair enough.
He kind of looks around, and you get the impression that he was waiting for someone to maybe invite him to sit down, but seeing that no invitation came, he's like, well, I look forward to seeing you all on Wednesday. Please don't be late. But, as you will. It's wonderful to see you. I'm so glad you're in town. And behind him, you do see his faithful manservant, Beddoes, who you have met briefly before, that is always at his side, except for when he's investigating, strangely enough. But you see him, and he nods, and it's good to see you all. And but the professor gathers his coat over his arm and his cane, and he says, well, I must be off. Important things to do. Life of a researcher is not a dull one, contrary to popular belief. I'll see you later. And he leaves in kind of not a huff at all. He understands, but he had been interested in possibly sitting and having a chat.
Leo goes to sort of, nod with her hat at him and then realizes that she took it off to eat.
And he's just like, no need to salute. But he was never in the military myself, but no, he leaves, and he leaves the four of you to your lunch.
Did he want to join us? I mean, he could have just asked, I suppose.
That's not the British way. Are the three of you concerned about what the lecture is actually going to entail? Like, how much of this is going to fall back on us?
Somewhat.
Yes.
Honestly, probably not. I don't think he's going to talk about any of the stuff that we actually experienced.
He has been rather elusive about the contents.
Yes,
he's been very elusive about the contents. He just kind of in his invitation, he just says, "Hey, I'm going to present. Well, greetings. I am going to present. I hope you are all doing well. And on January 3rd of next year, I am going to be presenting some of the finds that we documented during our time together in Arkham, Massachusetts. I do hope that you would care to join. I can provide travel expenses if needed to at least get you across the water. I would love to see you and maybe speak with you a little bit after the lecture, if at all possible. Anyway, I sincerely, Professor Julius A. Smith." He's never stated exactly what he has. You just know, what he tried to, the evidence that he tried to get, which was pictures of an apparition, and audio from a gramophone recorder, a wax cylinder that would respond to any noises that were in the area.
Which would have been all of our footsteps,
Wind.
screams,
Him, falling.
yeah, down the stairs.
Yeah, he did fall down the stairs. That did happen.
It's like all I remember is just him falling down the stairs.
That was about the extent of his participation in that investigation.
Yeah.
Listen, it's not that I expected him to ask myself or any of the rest of us to present with him, but I do find it a little odd that he's going to present findings of a supernatural case, and on his team he had a person that works with the supernatural, and that he didn't ever want to speak of it again with me.
I think that part of that may be in your education. You are not classically educated, and the professor probably puts quite a bit of stock in that. I found that in academia that tends to be the case.
Or
I mean, honestly, I'd rather listen to Cleo talk about her experiences, because I think they're going to be a little more honest, truthful.
In my opinion, classrooms only get you so far.
I don't know that the professor is going to be anything less than truthful, but a level of embellishment would not be out of the question.
Somehow I feel that he's going to be the hero of this account.
Were any of us truly a hero in this account?
From his point of view, no. From what we experienced, yes.
Personally, I have less concern over who's the hero or over credit or what have you. I have more concern over giving people false stories or embellished stories and information about things that exist in the world, and you don't necessarily want to give someone a false way of handling something that could be dangerous, because then they get hurt. Personally.
Can I do a psychology roll on the two of them to get an idea of like the base concern? I know what they're saying, but
Sure. Would either of you be trying to guard yourself in any way? Like, are you trying? You are? Okay.
I would
But
be.
Cleo is not. Okay, go ahead and roll that psychology check. And then, Shawn, give me a... What would the opposite of that be?
probably
Deception?
persuasion.
Is there a deception? I don't think there's a deception.
No, but like persuasion or charm or fast talk, any of the three of those would probably work.
Yeah, why don't you pull a fast talk, Shawn?
Mm.
Or
Mhm.
whatever's better out of the three. Persuasion, charm,
Yeah,
or fast talk.
Let's see, where am I? Things are...
We do have counsel on retainer in case the professor's words are in any way harmful to your persons or livelihoods.
Oh,
Okay,
right. Not
nice.
everyone has counsel on retainer. I forgot.
I mean, I can do psychology. That's probably the best I have.
Okay, go ahead and you do a psychology roll, and we'll treat yours as an opposed, and as long as you get a success, Matt, then Cleo is
Yeah,
not guarding in any way.
I got a success, barely.
I got a normal success.
Yeah, I got a normal success, so.
Okay, so, yeah, Kelsey's a little hard to get a clean read on, but, Cleo, you get the impression from her that, that she's not trying to hide anything or necessarily obfuscate. So, like, you feel that if you asked her more questions, she would be really open about her responses.
I'm not sure that the professor is going to put any more emphasis on this than the rest of the world already does. I feel like we're given plenty of ghost stories, and none of them are really true.
Are you sure about that?
Not in the way that they're presented. I mean, we were told that a lighthouse fell into the water and now there was water leaking down the walls. We investigated, and what they brought to us was not what actually happened. And what will be reported today will probably not be what actually happened. Who knows? But I don't feel that the academia is not going to take him seriously. And in my experience, the people around the sort of esoteric bits look far too deep into anything for it to actually matter.
Give me, this would probably primarily be a Countess roll. Countess, give me a, oh, crumbs. What do they call? Give me an intelligence roll.
Is it to figure something out?
It's to see if you know what the Challenger Trust is.
Oh, sure. I get, do I get my sharp-witted for that? It gives me a bonus die. On
Yeah, sure.
intelligence checks.
Yeah, that's fine.
Oh, good. I'm glad I got that. Yeah, I succeed.
Okay,
Without
fantastic.
that, I would not have succeeded.
So you are aware that the Challenger Trust, at least what you've kind of heard, it used to be a far more private affair. You know that they've had many people come and speak at their lectures. And it used to be much more private, but it is more public now. But again, it's only the trustees, and they have to invite people to attend and to speak. And you know that their main criterion for the Challenger lecture, especially, is the idea that they just want to be amazed. So while they may have interest in academia and things like that, it is not necessarily coming at it from the most scientific approach or the most scholarly or academic approach. They want to be fascinated and have someone who is very good at, like, can speak clearly, make a clear argument for something, and not sound completely of unsound mind, if that makes sense. They want people to present kind of fringe ideas, and be amazed by what possibilities there are. So you would know that to some degree.
So this is more for entertainment than it is for education.
Kind of, yeah. They have had people who have done real science, like Marconi, Madame Curie presented there, von Zeppelin presented there. So they have had actual science members of the scientific and I guess what is the scientific community. I guess I was going to say and inventors, but I guess inventors would consider themselves part of kind of the scientific community as well. You have heard, with that success, I will say that you have heard that when it was still a private affair, that they had a Dr. Cavor appeared and did present some very wild ideas about a substance that he was able to create that could defy gravity. So you know that they have gone a little fringe in the past.
The group that he will be presenting to are looking for embellishment. I feel that no matter what he tells them, it won't be right on the truth. But they don't want that.
Yeah, that way they can go out and have their own experience and get sucked into some kind of horror.
That's possible. But I also feel like this is more along the lines of letting other people do the dirty work and they get entertained by it and learn something.
Oh. Academics have a strange taste in entertainment.
Yes, we do.
As you know, the Countess is a student, or part-time anyway, at the Imperial College. Enjoys learning, and I believe the high points that I took away from Johanna Rinaldi Stad is enjoys learning and enjoys drinking. So
yeah, two really good fun things.
I drink and I know things. She is.
Well, now you figured out my sum up of my character crap.
Nah, that's all right. That's all right. So lunch continues. It is sumptuous fare. You enjoy all of it. It is a pleasant dinner. You all, as you get to know each other, you do feel that you are learning. I mean, after working and going through the experience at the Lighthouse, where you did, just to recap for the audience that is unaware of what happened at the Lighthouse, they did run into a few cultists that were performing rituals in the sub-cellar of a lighthouse, and they were actually using the lighthouse as a means to lighthouse and lighthouse keepers as a means to sacrifice to their deity, who was a amphibious frog god. They had a little idol of him in the sub basement that started to come alive from some of the chanting and the rituals that were being performed, but it was the frog god and the cultists were dispatched by our party here, and with some quick thinking by Ms. Dandridge, it seems that the area was cleansed sufficiently for the lighthouse to continue to work, and without any further interruption. But Professor Smith, as they have insinuated, was not present for a lot of that. he was upstairs experiencing some of the other symptoms of the apparitions and things that were associated with what was happening in the subcellar, and then took a tumble down some steep lighthouse stairs. But he was no worse for wear. But he refused to go into the subcellar at any rate because it was a very small room, and he's a bigger fella, and he did not think that going down. He didn't trust the steep rickety ladder into the basement. But lunch continues. It was good. You all plan to meet up again. You part ways for the rest of the evening. One of you suggests to perhaps stop by the reading room. Johanna, actually, with her academic letters and things like that, actually has the availability to use the reading room if she so wishes, and can bring people, but generally it is restricted to members of the peerage, and academics references have to be of a certain caliber, and perhaps statements of things that you might need. But the reading room does contain many illuminated books and manuscripts. It even, like, one of their claims to fame is an early story from Charlotte Bronte that is written in hand, handwriting so small as you can't read it with the naked eye. Why someone would write that, I don't know, but
Why not?
Charlotte did it, and that's what she wanted to do. So
Live your truth, Charlotte.
That's right. Is there anything in London that you all might want to do in preparation for the lecture on the next day, whether as a group or individually?
Didn't we discuss that Cleo and I needed to get some kind of formal wear, that what we had wasn't going to cut it for the...
That is true. And Johanna has a tailor and a seamstress that she recommended.
I mean, it'll still be off the rack, but they can at least make it fit.
That was not what I told the tailor.
You can't get custom made this quickly.
I know. But something a little less American.
Wow.
Tuxedo's a tuxedo. It doesn't matter if it's here or there.
So, with that said, Cleo, you do make an appearance maybe late morning on Tuesday, January 2nd, to have a fitting for the dress for tomorrow night. At least get measurements taken and maybe take in some sides and things like that. As you do know, it is generally a formal banquet. Professor Smith was clear about that in his letter.
And then I guess I'll stop by the tailor.
Okay. Do you want to use the Countess's tailor, or do you want to just go to one in London?
No, I'll go to the Countess. I'll take
okay, so
advantage of
you
her
show up
suggestion.
too. You all arrive at about late morning. We'll say maybe 11 at House Rinaldi Stott.
I'm surprised your boss doesn't have like a tailor.
Well, he wasn't expecting coats, tails and formal wear. He gives me the assignments, and I'm free to do what I want. Since I'm here, I can attend the meeting, but didn't expect it to be that fancy
At all.
So you meet the tailor and the seamstress, and they pick out some suitable wear. You do find, Mr. Haskins, that the tailor is like, I do not know about this, and he takes your jacket and he's like, what did you call this?
Which jacket? My suit jacket or my overcoat?
You bring him, I assume, your fancy wear, your formal wear.
No,
says,
I don't have formal wear. I have just the suit the suits
Oh,
that I
okay.
bring with me for
Well,
business.
he's like, this is unacceptable. And he takes...
What the Countess told me.
well,
Throws it in the trash.
yeah. I hope you brought
$100.
I hope you brought something else away. He has a rack that he has brought with him that has several. Sorry, I just heard some warbling singing in the background, and it concerned me. But thank you, our sound producer John. We're off camera, but he has a rack that, like a garment rack that he has brought with him, and he kind of shuffles through it, and he looks at your size. And what is a physical description of Kelsey Haskins?
So, Kelsey's not. He's 5'10". Yeah, maybe more 5'9 3/4", but he's going to tell everybody he's 5'10". Slim build, sandy blonde hair. He's not particularly striking, but he's not horrendous to look at. He's just normal. It's a face you forget about once you walk away.
Okay. Well, he looks at your size and he's like, "What? Just tell me what you think your measurements are."
That's not what I expected.
You rattle off some measurements. You rattle off some measurements, and he goes, "Not quite." And he pulls something off the cover. He looks at it and he's like, "Yes, this would not fit you, but I have this one." And he brings over a jacket, and he's like, "I would have made you one that would fit you perfectly. We will make do with your shape and what I have." And
I've been told my shape is quite pleasant. It is not.
This is just how he is.
The tailor's just ignoring you and goes about his work, puts a jacket on you, pins up some areas, makes it, you can tell by what he's doing as you hold your arms out that he is trying to make it a little bit more flattering. Cut to, it's not just going to be a square hanging on you, all the while, Miss Dandridge, you're in another part of the room or another part of the house, and you have a seamstress that is pinning a dress. It is a lovely, like a rich green, elegant dress with maybe a bit of a slit, but and the straps come up and around your neck. The back is open. Probably unlike anything you've had to wear before.
100%.
Yeah.
She's
And
trying to figure out, she's like, can I fit a belt on this? Is there pockets? Where do I put all my components?
no pockets. The seamstress is like, "Oh, you would like to? Oh, you need to carry things." And she hands you a very small clutch that's about maybe the size of a box of playing cards, maybe a little bigger. And she's like, "Here you go."
Okay.
So I assume that I'm probably also there for my final fitting on my gown.
Sure,
And
you're both likely in the same room.
I'll bring over like a glass of wine to Cleo and hand it to her and say, "You look fantastic. It's not always comfortable, but sometimes you just have to let your plumes out."
Thanks.
You're
And she's looking at, because she has tattoos like all over her arms and like her legs. It's like, okay, she has one on her back. Like,
nice.
What kind of tattoos are they?
they're mostly runes. She
Nice.
does have one that is, the one on her back is like a wolf. Because she hasn't really talked about this a lot, but she does see a wolf sometimes, and she thinks it's connected to her dad. She thinks it's like a spiritual wolf, and so she has that wolf tattooed on her back, and she has a lot of runes and sort of Gaelic just symbols and stuff like that. They're mostly protection runes.
Can
And some
I
of them are just symbolic.
roll my linguist to just kind of identify exactly what languages are on her without asking?
Sure.
I don't trust her.
It's rude to stare.
Oh yeah, no, that's fair. So yeah, I well rolled under my intelligence for that.
Okay, fantastic. So what languages are we looking at? Are we looking at, like, are they more like Norse runes, or are you looking at...
She has a couple of Norse runes, but they're mostly it's like she has Gaelic across her,
That's
like
right.
above the wolf and across her back, she has something in Gaelic. Um, and she has her Norse runes, and then she has a lot of like old Celtic symbols that you may or may not recognize,
Okay.
that don't really have any, that aren't really any language, but are just symbols. Um,
Very nice.
These are quite interesting. Is this something that came from your training?
Mostly, yes. Um, they're just things I've studied over the years, symbols that have stood out to me. They're protection based, mostly, and elemental based. They comfort me.
I'm seeing a little bit of Gaelic and a little bit of what look like um, runes of a Scandinavian nature. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yes, that's
And I
not
don't
wrong.
I'll like motion at the Gaelic symboling the symbols, and I don't recognize these as a language. Is that what am I missing here?
No, they're not languages. They're symbols. Again, kind of versions of runes, and just things to give
So
me a little
similar.
boon sometimes, power and again, protection. It's just
So
sometimes I can tap into the use of the symbol and it's more useful to just have it on me than it is to have to draw it out if I need it.
that's you. So you can activate magic with these.
To a degree. Yeah.
Interesting. Johanna will take a very long sip of her wine. I think that you will definitely stand out this evening or tomorrow evening, whenever that is.
I think
It's
that
a
is.
long zip from her flask.
I'm sure that we also can get a wrap for you. It will be quite cold in
That
January in
would be
London.
great.
So I like I'll make sure that she has appropriate clothing to at least get into the so she's not out in public
Sure.
with the tattoos out and about, but once we're inside there's nothing I can really do.
She kind of looks around a little bit and she's like, "What do I wear on my feet?" Like looks down at her feet.
Oh, I will lift my dress up just enough to show off my what I assume are heels. I don't know. Do women wear heels in the 20s?
They do. I don't think they're nearly as severe as you find them
Yeah.
now.
No,
Um,
just probably an inch or two of heel. Have you not worn?
appropriately high heel.
Yeah, have you not worn heels before?
A few times. I just don't have any.
Oh, we can take care of that. That's not a problem. I'll motion for the seamstress to I don't know find a pair. I assume this is either something where it can be brought over or I've got money. I don't care.
Sure,
Like,
sure. Well,
send
and I
somebody
was
for
also
it.
wondering, how tall are both of your characters? Is that something
Johanna
you've thought
is
about?
like 5'6".
And Cleo?
Leo's quite. She's kind of the very embodiment of, though she be but little, she is fierce. She's
Okay.
like 5'1" and very slight.
Okay. Um, I assume to some degree that maybe what the seamstress is using on for Cleo to wear the green dress was actually one of the countesses. Maybe that she doesn't wear anymore or doesn't wore once and can never wear again, kind of thing. And so is taking it in to fit Cleo, but you find that you are able to, use some of the countess's wardrobe as she allows. So
For anybody interested in the 20s, it was the T-strapped heel, which was popular with the flappers and became the go-to for formal wear.
thank you, Shawn. I assume you Googled that. I don't think that knowledge wasn't.
No,
Did you
no,
come
he
into
just
the
had
show with that
sitting up
knowledge?
in his brain.
No, I knew that the flappers wore that kind of. I couldn't recall the name.
Sure, sure. So you both, Mr. Haskins and Cleo, you get outfits that the seamstress and the tailor both assure you these will be ready for you tomorrow. Just come back if you can come back to this house They actually assume that you're staying with the Countess, and then when they find that you're not, they're very confused. Why would you stay anywhere else when you have free lodging at this wonderful, beautiful home? But they'll be ready for you tomorrow afternoon,
Well, that was
midday.
his appearance, Countess. Your tailor is unique.
He's very particular and understands fashion.
Well,
The newest of fashions, even.
Well, most of my experience with tailors have been the Italian tailors back home in Chicago. They're a little less fussy.
You've not had a tailor until you have a French tailor.
Naturally.
So for the rest of the evening, I assume you do some sightseeing. Maybe you stick more around Johannes, and
I'd
she
actually
shows
like
you.
to take Cleo to my favorite rare bookshop that holds
Oh.
probably more occult things. I'm not looking for anything in particular. I'm more
Sure.
getting an idea from her of what I might want to buy later.
Oh, okay. So you do that, Mr. Haskins. Do you have other things that you would like to do, or would you like to tag along?
I have some other things I need to do.
Okay, we'll get to you in a minute. So, Miss Brandt, do you join the Countess? And I assume that you're always with the Countess when
Well, I mean, not always. She has some room to make mistakes.
Some
every now and
freedom.
then.
okay.
I don't know if Emily really needs to be there for this. She can very much
That's
just stay
fine.
at home and make sure everybody is paid off for their services, that sort of thing. Kind of.
Yeah, all that under the table money.
Yeah, all the stuff that actually has to happen.
yeah.
Receive the incoming packages.
Sure. All right. So you go. Is it in Kensington your favorite book stop, or do you have to go somewhere?
Yeah, it's probably not far. There's a museum right there in Kensington too, so it's probably
There
not far
is.
from the museum.
Okay, fantastic. So you stop at the bookshop, which is called the Illuminated Page, as it were, and
Yes.
it's the quickest thing. Top of my head, might as well insert my own show. No, no. You stop at the Illuminated Page, and it is not just a bookshop. It does there is like an apothecary desk in the back to do some, but you've never given that much thought.
So I'll kind of walk her through and pick her brain about if there are authors or writing styles that are more important, or if there's anything that stands out to her.
Okay. Would you like this to be a roll, Cleo? Just to kind of have an
Sure.
idea of what you might find there. Go ahead and do an intelligence roll real fast, and we'll see. Cleo comes from a family who her father owned I guess that we would call it an occult bookshop.
Yeah, like an occult shop. And it wasn't just books, it was books and supplies. It was very small. But
Right.
he did have a shop.
But you have some history in that, so bringing you to a shop like this would be quite appropriate. So what was that intelligence roll?
So I rolled a 23, so that is a hard success.
Fantastic. Okay. Yeah, you are able to point out several authors, several tomes that you're like, oh, this is one that is quite popular amongst, some of the, for some of the ritual casting or something like that. That you point out things that from your father's shop that you recognize. You probably a little bit better, less on authors and things like that. Maybe not is your top spot, but you do have knowledge of the authors. But a lot of it is also, yes, this says it's about this, but it isn't. This time it's more you're more focused on the topic or the content, not necessarily what it claims to be about. If that makes sense to the both of you. But she's able to point out many things for you to maybe take note of.
What is Cleo's opinion of Aleister Crowley?
Mixed to a certain degree, mostly due to his popularity, not due to his content.
Okay.
Not in the vein that she's kind of like, it's not that I think that he's sold out or anything. It's just there are certain things that I think he makes very public in the space that I don't always think are safe for people to know. If they were just to casually stumble upon something and casually read something, I think that they would take certain things in that they would think that they would be able to do and be able to use. And I'm very cautious about the supernatural, as I think you already know about me. And I think there's a space for everyone, but I don't think that everyone needs to go charging in. And sometimes I think that works to a certain degree.
He gives the common person the
Yeah.
confidence to charge in where they may need guidance.
Yeah. I think the knowledge is something that people should have, but I don't always necessarily think that everybody in the world should go charging into a situation with that same knowledge in the same way.
Okay. So yeah, I'll take notes on the books that she kind of points out. Not pick anything up today, but it is very clear that the shopkeeper knows me. I mean, obviously, I drop money in here regularly.
Sure.
And probably accidentally overpay without realizing it, because
Money's not an object, and you
how
don't
much does
know.
a banana cost anyway?
That's
$10.
should a banana cost anything? Yeah, as you're perusing the store, the shopkeep definitely he nods it at the Countess and kind of is excited to see her come in, probably for that exact reason that you have overpaid for things in the past. But he is kind of distracted. He's got another customer that is asking him questions. You notice the man a little bit. He's mustachioed, speaks quietly, has a bit of an accent, but you don't really take any other note of him except that he's in the store and he's keeping the shopkeep quite occupied. So you guys kind of you two have the run of the place for a little bit.
What kind of an accent?
Eastern European,
Okay.
going into even farther into maybe a Turkish accent, maybe perhaps a little bit, but
Okay.
he doesn't say a whole lot. He's just looking at books and he's asking about a few things that doesn't sound very interesting. He sounds like he's looking more for history, not what this shop specializes in. But the shopkeeper is being patient with him as much as possible. So you got, there, like I said, there is a small supply counter in the back. Cleo, you take a look at it and you kind of, it's not actual. You can tell by looking like it's the quintessential kitschy occult items. Seance candles and embellished pentagrams. Yeah. And there you see some ads for some mediums that like almost like business cards. They leave little calling cards for local mediums. Have a seance at your next gathering, kind of
She
thing.
takes a couple, just interested in who these people are.
Well, and you could always pass them off if someone says, "Hey, do you do seances?" You said, "Yeah, here's my card. Call me later," and you can just
Here you go.
never be seen again. So yeah, was there anything else you wanted to ask her while you were there, Johanna?
No, I really just want to get more of an understanding of her overall occult knowledge, and it's really not anything that we need to super get into. Just my character is interested in how much she knows.
Sure.
Oh yeah, she would definitely. She could, if they're allowed to touch books, she would reach up and as she's talking to you about the book, she could open them up and sort of break down certain things that were on certain pages. She might show you a couple of like the symbols that she has on herself and go, "This is this, and this is this, and this is what this does," and walk you through the specifics of those.
So the tattooing, I'm understanding, is with a needle? Is that Is that correct?
Yes. And you will have noticed, I think it was in the 20s. I think they did it with like needles and ink in the 20s.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So yeah, she'd be like, "Yes." And then she'll kind of pull her shirt to the side and you'll see like a symbol here, but it's unlike any of the other tattoos. It's like a brand that, you know, she got specifically, but it's different than the other tattoos because it's actually like a burn of the skin, so everything's sort of a lighter white almost. Um, and
Okay.
she has a couple of those hanging around on her body as well that she got voluntarily after a certain level of training, as it were.
Fantastic.
And the so the you purposefully harmed yourself. Is that for these?
Yeah, I mean the tattoos especially didn't hurt that much. I mean the one on my back because it was so big was a little annoying. The brands certainly hurt a little bit more, but they do far more good for me than they've ever done. But you know, it was worth the brief pain to get them. And they're all voluntary. I didn't no one ever made me get anything. No one like, you know, took a cattle prod or whatever and
And
tied me down.
and the brand is that a mark of your completion of training?
Yeah, I have them for so I think I showed you when we were at the lighthouse. I carry reaches into her and she box. And she opens it and it's like a little wooden, it's pretty unassuming, but she has these sort of four small sections in the box and within each of the sections there are things wrapped in actually very fine silk. It's like the nicest thing that she owns and they're
Oh,
different colors.
I've got a dress made in that.
Oh, lovely. I never was able to get more
More than just
than this size for them, but they're all in different colors, and it's like one's red and one's um, green and one's blue and one's
Yeah. Oh, I can't hear.
I'm thinking
Oh, okay.
blue red. Um,
green.
and I think it's sort of like it's like a creamy translucent almost.
Oh, nice.
And she's like, these are my symbols of power. And after I came to sort of train with each of these, I got put on my body and now carry them around. And she closes it and puts it back like into her. She keeps it like inside her vest pocket.
Okay. That's interesting. So, uh, is your training part of a formalized? Are there others that have gotten kind of your kind of training in a
I'm sure that there are. My mentor was mostly my father and my father's mentor. You know, and so it wasn't exactly through any institution as we've talked about before. But I know that there are other people that do that do study within themselves, within their groups, you know, and I've gone beyond my father and not in talent, but gone outside of my father and my father's mentor to learn too, either books or seeking people out. It's a little bit again because there's no formal training of it. Um, truly, it's sort of on you and your impetus to seek out the things that speak to you and to seek out truths that may go beyond the things that anyone on the street would tell you.
I see. It's very interesting. I would be maybe I'll take some time in New England and learn more about this from you if you have time and inclination.
Certainly. I have plenty of time. You're always welcome to come to the shop as I try to get it back up and running. And I have a small list, but a list nonetheless, of people that you could speak to as well.
Did anything here strike your fancy? Any books that you are missing from your own collection?
There are a couple. My collection is not ultra extensive, but is useful when I need it.
I assume you point out the
She
couple of
would.
books. I'll grab them and we'll walk to the front.
They're ones that look a little bit like they need extra care, like they may
Sure.
be kept in their own cases and
Sure.
quite their
Nice.
binding almost looks like it's coming apart, or that it's been fixed if they do book binding here.
Sure.
Um,
Oh, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I was gonna say the bookshop owner. But when you start to head to the front, you see that the other customer has left, and the bookshop owner had been watching you very carefully as Cleo had taken some books off the shelf. It is fine to touch the books, but as you kind of went through things and were showing things, he was like watching, kind of with a sense of, are you going to buy that, or are you just going to take all the information now?
Put it all out.
You could just take it home and do that. I don't under, but he's very pleased when you both walk up with a couple of books.
I'll introduce her to the shopkeeper, and this is my friend Cleo from the States. She is reopening her father's shop outside of Boston.
Oh, lovely. I don't do much dealing with the colonies, but it's the occult bookstore trade is something. Would your father be interested perhaps in maybe a franchise opportunity? I've been trying to get a second location.
I could certainly talk with you about that. My father has unfortunately passed, so I've sort of inherited the shop.
My
I'm
apologies,
trying
I
to-
misunderstood.
It's all right. It was quite a time ago.
She was pointing out the books in your store that she was suggesting to me. So I'll be back over the next few weeks, I'm sure, to pick those up.
Oh,
If I buy too many
fantastic.
at once, Emily gets real upset.
Oh. I was sad to see that Miss Brandt was not with you. I know she keeps telling me that she's married, but I haven't seen him yet, so there's always hope.
Always
Yeah.
a chance.
So I'll put the two books on the counter and I'll say, we'll take these. And then with the very rich math that I have, I will put down what is appropriate or seems appropriate unless he tells me otherwise.
Oh, he waits for you to finish.
Yeah, so I'll just put down what seems appropriate, probably too much, but whatever. They look old.
How do you know, Countess? I don't put prices on these books. I just have a ledger back here, and you have a sixth sense about you that tells you everything. This is perfect. And he scoops the coins and notes into his hand and just kind of tosses them in the till. And
I make a psychoanalysis.
Yes.
I like she's not gonna do anything. She's just curious if he's sort of bullshitting. Okay, that's a 66. That's a regular success.
Yeah, he's absolutely. You are pretty sure that he's just at first you think that maybe he's just being overly nice because it is the Countess and she's very pretty and young, and maybe he's just trying to be a bit of a, he's a bit taken, but no, he's what he's taken with is the fact that she pays him too much often.
Doesn't understand money.
Exactly, yeah. So good for
She
business.
just wants to know who she may or may not eventually get into business with.
Right. So yeah, he is definitely taking the Countess for all she'll give him. That's he doesn't even feel the need to haggle. It's like,
And then I'll take the two books and whatever sack or bag or thingy.
sure,
and hand it.
he wraps them in some brown paper and ties them with some twine.
And I'll hand it over to Cleo and say, I hope that these fit well in your library.
Thank you. That's incredibly kind.
Oh, I'm sure that they'll help me as well when I come and learn
Certainly.
from you. And then I'm good after that. Like, I just
Fantastic.
spent some time getting to know more about these weird tattoos. That sounds fun.
Fantastic. So you two retire back to Johanna's home, or perhaps Cleo, you decide to return to your hostel. But for now, we're gonna hop to Kelsey for a moment, and what were you? Where did you find yourself after you departed after lunch, or after the fitting? My mistake.
After the
Roxy, real quick.
Oh, it is break
Escapebox
time.
Games. Well, not just that, but Escapebox Games has spent some channel points for a luck advance, and then we have a missed me, so we have a in case we need it later.
Okay.
Looks like for
okay.
Emily specifically, she gets a reroll. Oh no,
And so does Cleo. It looks like we're going to get some rerolls in chat from our friend at Escapebox Games. Thank you, Ted, for coming through for our players here. I will actually let you keep those on the table until such a time as needed, since things have been kind of expository up to this point.
Do we want to do a luck advance now, though?
Yeah, let's go ahead and do a luck advance. So one thing, I was actually going to have them do a luck advance before we even started, and I completely forgot. But yes, in Pulp Cthulhu, you actually can take, and how we run the show anyway here on Illuminated Page, is that the players get a luck advance at the start of every session. And that is I believe, a singular D6 roll. And whatever you roll on that D6, you get to add to your luck pool.
Woo. Cool.
Luck is an in-game currency, chat, that we will make luck rolls depending on, if luck is applicable. But the players may also use luck anytime on a roll that they can use luck to lower their score, essentially, and buy a success if they have the luck pool to accommodate it.
Up to 71.
And there's a bunch of other stuff we can spend it on in Pulp specifically that keeps us alive.
There's a ton.
I like that part. That keeps us alive.
Yeah, luck spins in Pulp Cthulhu are far more useful. It's a great mechanic in the Pulp rule set. And as I said, we are coming up on 6:30 here, which is usually when we'll take a break. I think now would be a good time. We'll get to you, Kelsey, because if that's all right with you, we'll get to you right after the break, and then we'll hop into the lecture before we go tonight. But I did want to say we have a giveaway tonight. Chaosium Inc. has been fantastic to the channel and has given us some PDF codes to give away a copy of Pulp Cthulhu, a PDF copy straight from their store. We have some code redemptions we can grant. So if you are in chat right now and you would like to be considered for this drawing, please put in the word. What should our word be? Chat, Cass, do you have any ideas, any guesses on a code word that we should use?
This is the first one. Let's just use pie.
Pie. We'll do pie. Pie is an Illuminated Page throwback to our Masks of Nyarlathotep, and it is an icon in our Discord server that we use quite a lot to show love and affection and support for other people. So type pie one time in chat, and we will collect those entries over the next 10 minutes. And we will do a random drawing to see who gets that code. And we will be giving away a copy of Pulp Cthulhu every week for the first 3 weeks of our show. So,
Very cool.
So stick with us. We're going to take a quick break to refill our beverages. As I like to say, fill up and drop off. So if you got 10 minutes to step away from the screen, we'll be back soon. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Stick with us. We'll be right back.
Yeah.
Hello and welcome back. Thank you so much for sticking with us during the break. I've loved seeing everybody active in chat. It's kind of one of my first peeps at it since the show started because I've got a lot on my brain and I'm super nervous, so I didn't want to get too distracted with what was going on there. But it looks like everything is going great. We did have some entrants for the Pulp Cthulhu giveaway, and I believe our winner was
Darkling Blight.
Darkling Blight. So keep an eye out for John Passanerdly. That's my partner here and our sound guy. He's going to contact you probably in a whisper on Twitch and get you that code to redeem to get your copy of Pulp Cthulhu. So thank you so much for everyone who entered. Like I said, we're giving them away for the next 2 weeks as well. Feel free to hop back in and be active during the break and get that code. So thank you so much. Let's see, before I get started, because like I said, I'm nervous, so I'm kind of like buzzing through everything in my brain. Let me go ahead and get some announcements out of the way. So again, this is Rook and Rasp. This is our Sunday night show. We should be continuing for the next 12 weeks. We will have a couple off nights, I'm sure. In fact, right now we know of one, but we'll announce that as we get closer to it. Other than that, we should be every Sunday at 5 p.m. Eastern. You will find us right here at Illuminated Page playing horror on the Orient Express. Monday nights, we have a Star Trek Adventure show called The Voyages Of, that Matt is the primary showrunner on that. And but we do have, I think, 3 other storytellers joining you this half season, correct? Yeah. So that's going to be a good time. I have been on that show in the past. I'm not going to be on it this part of the season just because I'm in 3 other shows on this channel this season. So I needed a little bit more than a couple nights off. So that will be Mondays at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. Right here, it is a Star Trek Adventures from Modiphius. It's a 2D20 system. It's one of my favorites, if not my favorite. And we've got a great a rotating cast and rotating storytellers on that show. So please come out for our second episode tomorrow night. Thursday night, we have our Season 3 premiere of Growing Shadows. It's a Ninja Crusade 2nd Edition show where the previous 2 seasons have been young teenagers, 12, 13 to 15 years old, a group of ninja finding their way in the world and being sent on missions by the Lotus Coalition, if you're familiar with that setting. Even if not, if you like 90s anime that was geared for young adults and teens like Naruto, this would be, or even My Hero Academia now, this would be the show that you might enjoy. That is helmed by John, my partner. He has been running that, has a great time with it. We have a wonderful, colorful cast of ninja on that show. Then on, let's see, Saturday, we will be back for another Seriously Let's Play. We'll be playing Kids on Bikes, and it's a snow day adventure. Again, John will be running that. Seriously Let's Play is our semi-monthly one-shot show where we feature a different game every session. So if that sounds like something you see a game that you want to see played, or perhaps you want to join in on it, join our Discord, get the full schedule. Like I said, this week it's Kids on Bikes. At the end of the month, we'll be running a BattleTech game, which will be kind of a 2-parter. We'll have a BattleTech game, and then in February, is it February?
No, so it's
for MechWarrior.
MechWarrior, yes. First weekend in February.
Yeah, and then the following weekend in February, we'll be doing a MechWarrior game. So, and they'll be kind of run in conjunction, maybe same cast, just kind of flipped up a little bit. So we'll see how that goes. And then
Tuesdays.
Pirates. I saw Alla make a smile, and I was like, that's what not this Tuesday, but next Tuesday on January 18th at 8 p.m. Eastern. We are starting a show called By Leaps and Bounties, which is using the 7th Sea 2nd Edition rules. It'll be helmed by Danielle Delisle. If you're familiar with her, she has written for Onyx Path. I believe is writing for Paizo at the moment, maybe on a project.
She wrote a short story for them.
No, she wrote a short story for Paizo. She's written for Ninja Crusade. She's written for Part-Time God. She has her series or a game she developed called Ironbound. Sorry, you would think I'd have this written down, but Ironbound, which we've also showcased on the channel before. So yeah, we've got a lot of stuff coming. So if any of that sounds interesting to you, pirates or ninjas or Star Trek or like spaceship stuff, space and aliens, or like here, cosmic horror and the 1920s. We've got something for everybody. The only thing we're not running the only thing we're not running regularly is like a strictly fantasy setting. So, but that pops up now again too. So please join us for that. Those are our announcements. I don't think I've forgotten anything. Yeah, if you know, I see in the chat, if there are any cool systems you want us to try, do let us know. Absolutely. Or if you've made something, if you've made a game that you like, maybe that you're kickstarting, or it's just an indie publication, let us know.
Can we do the Wendy's role-playing game?
We have talked about doing the Wendy's. It's just it's a 5e setting, isn't it?
Yeah. No, it's got. I think it's got its own rules, or it has at least its own classes.
It's got its own. It's rules light 5e.
There you go. That's fine. I'm good with that. I just want to go fight the Hamburglar. I assume that's who the villain is. It's got to be that, right?
Right? You'd think. So, but yeah, that's us. In fact, let's see. Has the Discord drop popped up in chat recently?
It will now.
Yes. There we go. Yeah. Handle that. There we go. Thank you all. Yeah, join our Discord if you like such things. It's come and go, very chill. We have a lot of stuff going on over there, but that's where you can find out what's happening on our shows. Maybe join a show, have some input on some shows, things like that. We would love to have you. So,
and if you miss an episode, you can always go over to YouTube and check it out there. Which now there's a YouTube link there.
There you go. Yeah, all my buttons on my Stream Deck. I think with the Twitch, when Twitch reset all the stream keys, I'm not sure what happened. All the buttons on my Stream Deck have stopped. They need to all be reset. So I have to manually type things in, but I also have to hold down the push to talk button. So, so I am trusting others to put stuff in the in the chat for me. But yeah, without further ado, again, thank you all for joining us and sticking with us through the break. We are going to get back to London on January 2nd, 1923, and Mr. Haskins, our locksmith, is
I don't know
doing
why we
something.
Keep air quoting. I am a locksmith.
You're doing it
are
yourself.
A locksmith.
I'm just using an example. I don't know
How are we
why we're
supposed
doing
to
the
think?
air quoting. Yeah. I have extracurricular activities as well.
That's right. So let's check in with Mr. Haskins and see what he is doing out on the streets of London on this Tuesday evening.
After the fitting, I would have gone back to my hotel and armed myself.
Okay, that's fine.
And then I would have headed towards Kensington.
Okay, so you're going to be in the area also where your friends are.
Yes, but not
with your friends.
Not with my friends. They just unfortunately happen to go to the same area that I need to do some business in.
I'm getting robbed, aren't I?
Are you kidding, Rob?
You
No,
might be
you're not.
called
I
into
don't
court
think-
as a witness.
So you're looking for someone? Is that what you said?
No, I'm not looking. I know where it is. There is going to be a house in Kensington that I need to check out. I just need to find a bench nearby. I have a newspaper and going to sit down and study the house to see if it's occupied or not at the moment.
Okay. So go ahead and have a seat. Just 1 second. My desk is doing something wonky.
Okay.
Sorry. I'm like holding my desk from falling over because when John got up, it pushed the desk in such a way that it offset the. Yeah, his armrest got stuck under it, and it just lifted up the edge of the table, and so like the whole thing started to go, and we're good now. Okay, sorry. Woo! That would have been a technical difficulty if the entire 8-foot production station just flew across the room, because of the hydraulics on his chair were just too boss.
Too powerful.
Too intense.
Who knew? So, okay, give me a spot hidden roll and go ahead, and I know you have an ability if you want to tell us about your keen vision or whatever.
Yeah,
it's
I'm going to
called.
use keen vision. There's not a lot that can get past me, so I'm always on the lookout to make sure that no one's going to get the drop on me. Oh, wow.
Do you have a reroll?
Did they get the drop on you?
Considering, okay, I have advantage. So I'm rolling, 3 dice, right? I rolled a 90 on both of them.
Nice.
Oh,
Very
wow.
nice.
Well, remember, you do have a reroll
I
am
that
taking a
Ted
reroll.
granted.
I am taking a reroll.
Thanks, Ted.
Oh my god. So it's way better. I rolled a 20 on both of them this time for 23.
Okay,
Which is
you
going
need to
to
have
be-
dice that are not entangled on the quantum level so that they can do things separately from one another.
23, so that is a hard success.
Okay, fantastic. As you're watching this house, you see a gentleman. The lights have been on, and after you've probably been sitting there maybe 30 minutes, and the front door opens, and a gentleman in a cap with a cane exits with his coat on. He's got a long overcoat, and he sets off walking down the street.
Okay.
You stay watching the house for a little longer?
Yeah, I'm going to spend another 10 minutes watching the house.
Okay. From watching the house and the windows, you don't see anybody else leave. And you don't see any movement, like no shadows on the curtains or anything like that. It seems pretty quiet. And when he left, you did see him lock the latch.
That's fine. I'm actually going to see if I can get into the back of the house fairly...
Okay. Between the houses, there is like a little breezeway, alleyway kind of thing that you can slip through as you approach. I assume you cross the street. So you approach the house. You take a look around. Go ahead and give me one more. Actually, give me a luck roll.
A luck roll?
Yeah.
Oh. I gotta take a picture of that one. I rolled a 1.
Nice. Okay,
Cool.
yeah, you are able to, you kind of glance around. You are confident no one is looking, even though the street is not empty. You are able to slip in completely unseen to anyone around. I could have had you rolled stealth, but I wanted to see if you were lucky enough to get back there without without someone stopping you. Yeah, so you're able to go. There is a gate, but it is not like locked. It's latched, but it's not locked. You are easily able. It's meant to have people be able to access, and it runs between two houses, and then splits off into the back gardens. Very small back gardens, but for both properties. And so you just hop in the one that you want.
I'm gonna go up to the back door, check the knob, see if the door is locked or not first.
Okay, go ahead and give me another spot hidden.
Let's do one that's not quantum entangled.
There we go.
Oh my goodness. I gotta take another picture of this because this is too good. I rolled a 70 and an 8.
Okay,
So
okay. Well, with that 8, I'm sure you're fine.
Yeah, that's an extreme success on the spot hidden.
Okay, fantastic. So, you look, and the back door actually also has a couple side lights, and you kind of peer carefully. They have curtains on them, but you kind of peer carefully. You, go ahead and throw me a listen to, just in case.
Okay. 13. That's
Fantastic.
a hard
And with
success.
that one on your fantastic. With that one on your luck roll as well, you don't hear anything. You are confident that that house is silent as a mouse. So, yeah, you test the handle. The handle is unlocked. The door is not locked.
just have hand on the doorknob and like, oh, foolish. And open
Check
the door.
for traps.
Yeah. Open the door and no, I'm checking for traps. Open the door and stealthily start making my way through the bottom floor of the house, trying to find some kind of mail or some kind of indication that this is really who I'm looking for.
Okay. As you, when you enter, this is the kitchen that you have entered into. It is being in this part of town, it is a nice home. It's similar to Johanna's, and so not the wealthiest of homes, but definitely upper class. It is a quiet house. You believe whoever lives here likely lives alone and doesn't seem to employ any staff, which is unusual. If they do, then they're just not present at the moment. The kitchen is silent. The time that the gentleman left, you assume that he may have been going to a dinner engagement. And yeah, so you kind of go through the house. You go from the kitchen into the dining room, into another like den type area, another sitting room or a study. And in the study, on a desk, you find some letters addressed to a Mr. Hayward.
See a grin on Kelsey's face going, gotcha.
All right.
While I have the house to myself, I am going to search it for valuables.
Okay.
Because depending on what I find it's going to help further what I'm going to do next.
Okay. So as you search the house, you remember that the front door is latched. I'm going to say with that, with your rolls that you made earlier, I'm going to go ahead and say that you end up latching the rear door behind you, just to give you an extra moment to perhaps respond if you hear someone trying to enter. You go upstairs to the second floor. There are a number of bedrooms up there. Another study or library type room off one of the bedrooms. And you, in that room, as you look, go ahead and give me a spot hidden.
Sure. That is a regular success.
Okay. You peek behind a portrait and you find a wall safe.
I see he goes for the classics. I'm going to reach inside my jacket, pull out my locksmithing tools, and we're going to try and crack a safe.
Okay, fantastic. Let's go ahead and get that. Let's get that locksmithing or that locksmith roll.
$90. I failed.
Oh,
Can I push it?
This safe. Oh yeah, absolutely. How would you like to? How would you like to push your roll here?
Make it spicy.
Damn it. Just really frustrated. I'm going to take a moment, take a breath, kind of close my eyes, count to 10, roll my neck. I'm going to get, I guess they had stethoscopes in the 20s? Yes?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Get the
some type of hearing device.
Yeah, some kind of hearing device. Put it up against the safe again and just focus and try it again.
Okay.
With renewed determination. So that's going to roll with disadvantage, correct?
Yes.
Better. I made it with a normal success.
Okay, fantastic.
At 80, right at success.
Okay. So with that, you are able to finally breach the safe. The lock gave you a little bit more trouble than you were anticipating, and you hold your mouth a little different, and it seems to work the second time that you try to open that safe, and you are able to gain access. Within there is a small statute of documents or a sheaf of papers, deeds, business contracts. You do find a small velvet drawstring bag near the back that you remove from the safe, and you open up and you empty into your hand, and there are some small diamonds, a couple larger red gems that you presume are rubies. If you have appraise, you could appraise and.
I'm just starting to train in appraise, so let's give it a try.
Okay.
Not gonna work. They look good. I rolled a 70 in my appraises, and that's a failure.
Okay,
They're
that's
gems.
fine. That's fine.
They're gems.
These are gems.
Yep, they're shiny.
Yeah, they look. Yeah, they glisten in the light of your flashlight, and they seem worth maybe spending a little extra time with.
I'm gonna pocket them, and then
course.
because I don't know the true value of them, and this individual needs to be reminded of who he's fooling with.
Humbled,
I'm going
perhaps.
Humbled in a way. He shouldn't be running from his debts. I'm going to reach into my pocket, pull out a lighter, and I'm going to light the documents on fire that are in the safe.
Okay.
But I'm not to burn the house down. This is going to be a controlled burn. I'm just
Right.
Yeah.
You're just lighting them. So you throw them into I assume you're going to throw them into the grate of the fireplace that's in the room.
Yeah.
After you've lit them on fire.
Yep.
Do you perhaps leave the contract, the copy of the contract that the debt that you're paying off with these? Do you leave that? Perhaps
there's no contract.
just to
There's no contract for that. That was
no contract of that.
That was a handshake and a loan that was skipped out on. I will, however, leave a note saying, "You're lucky that I found what I did in your safe. Mr. Bombali isn't happy that you ran out of the country, and good luck with your documents. They're in the grate upstairs in the fire."
Okay. And you leave that maybe on his study desk in the lower level?
Oh,
okay.
yeah.
And I assume you seal up the safe and you just
No,
put
leave it
the
open.
picture back over it? Oh, you leave it open? Okay, you don't...
Leave it open.
All right. No, not even gonna it's like I'm sending a clear message.
Yep.
There's no guessing here.
There's
All right.
no guessing.
So
yeah.
you make your way back downstairs. You've probably been in the house maybe a total of 20 minutes. You spent some time looking through the mail and looking through some of the stuff upstairs. Yeah, took some time with the safe. Yeah. Tried to beat you. You go ahead and give me a listen roll when you get to the back door.
I'm loving these dice right now. It's a 10. That is a hard success.
Okay. You listen. You hear nothing. You then slip out the back. You stop again at the back fence gate. There's the back door, then there's the gate into the back garden where you are, and then there's the other gate that leads farther out onto the street. You're safe at all of them. You take a pause and you look around as you glance. Does Mr. Haskins smoke?
No.
No? Okay. You glance around, you kind of toss a toothpick up between your lips and flip up your collar and you see nobody approaching, and you just slip back up out onto the street.
And just make my way back to the hotel. There's no sense in hanging around. I did what I needed to do to... He's lucky. That's all I can think to myself. He's lucky that there was enough to cover the debt.
Sure. Awesome. Well, you presume there was enough to cover the debt.
I'm presuming.
These are pretty. They count. So you return to the hotel. Everybody has returned to their places of residence or current lodging, and we're gonna fast forward to tomorrow when Cleo and Kelsey need to arrive at Johanna's for their final fitting and get ready to go to the banquet. So
Cleo
you both
is
arrive.
silently very grateful that someone's gonna be there to have her in the dress, because she's like, I don't really know how to put it on.
Do I put it on over my head? Do I step into it? What is the proper the tailor and seamstress are there. The Countess is already in her dress and is currently getting her hair fixed into place in the tight curls of that are popular at the time. I assume those same services will be extended to Cleo and Kelsey to, perhaps clean up their...
I'm not doing Kelsey's hair.
Well, not you, but I don't know if Emily is doing it or if there's someone else on staff that you have that can help.
My hair is properly groomed for the time. It's slicked back nicely. It is presentable. My fingernails have been cleaned and trimmed.
Yeah, Olivia, the one of the maids, is skilled at such things, so she would help Cleo with her hair.
Fantastic. So, you all get ready. You have a private car, Countess?
I assume so. Yeah. Yeah, that would make sense.
That's fine. That's fine.
I assume I'd get places.
I didn't know if you used public transport or if you hired a car or no.
Public
travel with the peasants. Miss Brandt, I assume you're wearing something quite nice as well.
Oh, nothing quite dressy. She continues to wear more or less her same severe, like Mary Poppins-esque kind of outfit, where it's just like a coat and full skirts, but they are in drab, unassuming colors, mostly because she's such a large woman. I mean, imagine like Pam from Archer, but also like a head taller than most people, so like she's a big woman, so she tends to try and stand out as little as possible, mostly by wearing muted colors. She doesn't wear like a bright handkerchief because it is like it's the new year, it's festive, but it's like the only spot of color on her.
Fantastic. Okay. So the four of you get into the Countess's private vehicle and are driven. It is not far. The Countess lives in South Kensington, not far from the Imperial College, but where the banquet is being held. It is actually being held up in the Upper East Galaxy, the Upper East Gallery. You guys are going way far for this. The Upper East Gallery, which is usually reserved for the most exciting tomes concerning raw materials and commerce throughout the Empire. It is all of that is shoved away and scooted out so they can have this banquet. And as you arrive, you do see that everyone is dressed quite elegantly. You see men with full royal military regalia, with their sabers at their sides and the decorated epaulettes and things of that nature, waxed mustaches that have been curled quite stiffly, and monocles, things like that. I'm trying to think. There's a Disney film in which someone is dressed the exact way that I'm thinking of. Either way, it doesn't matter. Matt
Frozen,
probably knows.
Frozen, the Duke of Weselton.
Weaselton. Weaselton. But taller, much more stately, and not Alan Tudyk. And
it could be guys in everything.
It could be. It could be. That is true. That is true. So you get there, and for as much as you didn't want to stand out, Miss Brandt, you actually quite do, just because you're not dressed as elegantly as everyone else, and they're like, oh, well, hello. And,
she's a governess. She's not here to preen and show off.
No, you are indeed. That it is very evident that you are in the Countess's employ in some fashion. But you meet many people. The trustees hold this sometimes once or twice a year, sometimes not at all on a year, and they are smoking a lot of cigars. There's a lot of glasses of port. You hear some raucous laughter now and again. You sit down for the banquet. The banquet is also delicious fare. You see large, like, roast ducks and game hens and things like that. Things that you are not especially the Americans are not used to partaking of at such a large scale. This greatly outweighs anything that the Countess gave you on the New Year's Eve dinner. This is, you can tell this is on a different level.
Every time a new course comes out, I'm going to catch Kelsey's eyes and pick up the appropriate dining ware for it.
100% do it the same. Like, just subtly as possible. For Cleo's
Cleo
benefit too.
Cleo is cheating. She's like easily looking over to catch a glimpse.
We're trying to be subtle about it.
You use one escargot fork to eat your salad with, and you're marred forever.
That's right. Like I said, I've told the cast before. Just imagine that scene from Pretty Woman, you know, like pretty soon a snail's gonna fly across the room. But yeah, so just to kind of give you an idea in the audience here, the Challenger Trust Banquet Lecture is a formal affair hosted by trustees, and they're looking for speakers of clear voice, sound mind, and impeccable credentials to report on original researches or inventions of theoretical or practical import. Let's see here. So it's kind of an interesting thing, as we said before with Johanna in the they're looking to be amazed. The speaker tonight is your friend, Professor Julius A. Smith. His rigorous skepticism, which this is the part where you are a little confused when Professor Smith comes out. He is, when you've talked to him before and he's talked about the paranormal or the supernatural and these metaphysical events that he has researched, he's always come off a little almost taken by the whimsy, but also he wants the scientific evidence. But you have seen him in a much more jovial kind of demeanor. You see as he moves for the podium here at the lecture at this banquet, he is a little bit more reserved, speaks very clearly. He is droll and entertaining, but is a very precise in his recounts and he tells some stories to just a second, I got puppies all over me. So he tells his recounts of his investigations with some relish when he speaks about debunking and demystifying charlatans and hoaxes, which he spoke to some degree of with the rest of you before you met him at the Lighthouse. And he says, let's see, how does it say it here? I am going to read from the book because his speech can only be read. It says he relishes the clever. He recounts with relish the clever deceits and his cleverer exposures of charlatans and pretenders. Laughter is general and ongoing. So he's entertaining everyone, and you're all just kind of waiting for the goods as it is. And he says, there proved to be, however, and here his voice turns serious, categories of repetitious phenomenon offering no simple elucidation. I refer to the poltergeist, to the traveler who suddenly finds himself dozens or thousands of miles or years from where he stood moments before, and to the haunting. My presentation tonight concerns the last. This is, of course, where those of you that have worked with him are like, okay, well, this is where we need to tune in, because that's what he believes you experienced at the Lighthouse was a haunting. He says, I say haunting and not ghost or spirit because alone of such epiphenomena Haunters can be buildings, lanterns, coaches and fours, swords, and so on, as well as men, women, dogs, bears, possessions, even armies. Worldwide, the store of casual anecdote concerning haunters is enormous. And I say epiphenomena because the haunters are not linked with specific observers, and the haunting presumably occurs with or without human witnesses, as we shall see. Thus, perception of such an event is secondary to the event itself. The essential characteristics of haunters are simple. The person or thing must have existed, must have disappeared in some sense, and then must reappear once or many times. The location of the phenomenon may stay the same or may change. That which reappears may be partial and insubstantial, or be as solid and real seeming as any number of tonight's illustrious gathering. No other conditions are needed. So this is all kind of matches up with what he spoke to you about before. But he is being a lot more educational and well-spoken about the topics at hand. A projector is wheeled out, and the professor starts to go through the slides on the projector. And he shares slides of 4 hauntings in detail. A Breton fishing boat, a Norwegian woman, and a London hansom cab, as well as pictures of the lighthouse from which you all saw. Each incident was studied and photographed simultaneously from at least 3 positions, allowing accurate scaling of the apparitions. The good doctor is able to demonstrate several characteristics shared by the 3. So, as you remember in your incident, the first apparition that you all saw was a floating body, or a body that appeared to be floating, of a lighthouse keeper who looked as though he was moved by an unseen current. He was just floating. There was water leakage from the walls. There was things around him, but he himself was just floating, but looked as almost if he was underwater, right, and stuck in this room. Correct?
Mm-hmm.
So he goes through these pictures. The apparitions do not coalesce from points, as most tales describe, but slowly emerge whole from invisible planes, as if passing through what Smith terms the curtains of perception. Each is semi-transparent. He traces the clear passage of a wave through the fishing boat, for instance, and shows that the image causes no froth or ripples. It does not resist the water. In other slides, the audience sees the second or third photographers through the image of the apparition. This is even the case in some of the photographs from the lighthouse. You see the man, and you see the countess on one side, the governess on one side, as she had approached to go through to see around the figure that was floating in the air. There are several pictures of the lighthouse keeper. There are pictures, and you can even see the water running down the walls in some places. It says each apparition glows appreciably, as Smith demonstrates by isolating the reflections from nearby objects. Sampling attributes part of the glow to ionization, but not all. Careful indexing of the reflections indicates that the level of ionization varied randomly during each event. The rate at which these 3 apparitions manifested motion was in comparison to normal movement, but slowed by a consistent half in each case. Smith points out a ripple passing across the sail of the fishing boat. He goes on, and he explains how these sightings and apparitions all bear some of the same characteristics. Did you have something to say?
I'm watching Cleo while he's going through this.
Okay.
Just to gauge where she's at with this.
Sure. What would be your reaction, Cleo? Are you just listening intently, or?
Yeah, pretty much. From the moment that he said poltergeist at the beginning, her ears kind of perked up because she was like, that's not what it was. So what is this going to be?
Okay.
And so now she's just listening through. She's trying not to be too expressive in her face as she's listening, because she's just taking all of what he's saying in, and also to a certain degree probably trying to translate his smart people speak
Right. Yeah, he is throwing out a lot of science. Like, he talks about slowing the film down and how each of them, if you speed up the film a little bit, they look like everything's moving normally.
Yeah.
You know, and it's very fascinating. He's obviously researched. Honestly, to the four of you, he seems far more well-researched on these things and not nearly as kind of bumbling as he came off when he worked with you in person. One of the things that he does point out is that such apparitions seem not to be uniformly preserved. The south of England, he notes, has been settled by man for many thousands of years, yet the vast majority of haunting seem to have been produced in the past 5 or 6 centuries. Only a handful have survived from Roman times. As our players will remember, Dr. Julius Smith has been conducting these what is the word I'm looking for? Investigations across most of Europe for quite a long time, to the point clearly that the Challenger Trust has noted him as someone that they want to hear from. So he has a wealth of knowledge about these areas that is not necessarily common to everyone. He does not seem to be interested in seances and the supernatural in that form. He wants to see, he's trying to get real evidence of apparitions and what may happen essentially beyond the veil. And can you come back?
And during his lecture, I mean, we're getting the impression that he's not quite the bumbling kind of good-natured fool that we kind of thought, or at least I thought he was. He actually knows what he's talking about.
Absolutely. You can tell that he's done, like, when you worked with him, he was collecting evidence. He then took all of that evidence, compared it with other cases that he had conducted, and has found that it matched other things that he had investigated. You know, with the slowing down, with the kind of half there, half not appearance of the apparition. So you saw him in the heat of investigation, not in the heat of the research afterwards, where he spent a lot of time drawing a lot of conclusions, making a lot of comparisons. He is very knowledgeable. You just had not witnessed that yet. He was very down to business. Let's get this done. And then when he saw it, he was kind of giddy because he likes finding the evidence even more than he likes exposing charlatans, if that makes sense.
No, that makes perfect sense, yeah.
Smith concludes by observing that in the past 30 years, science has begun to learn about that which cannot be seen or normally sensed, and that some behavior on the atomic level is impossible in the greater world. He has come to think that hauntings offer clues to so far indefinable ways of arriving at or opening a way into other dimensions. So he's going completely out of the realm from where you guys were. You are right, though. He never mentioned the cultists or the altercation in the basement. You show him some evidence of it, but he did not see any of it. He was unconscious after his tumble down a couple flights of the lighthouse stairs. So he leaves all that out. But you can also see from the comparisons that he's drawing and the rest of the presentation, it wouldn't have fit. He's never tried to explain where these come from. Now, you determined in your investigation that the apparition was kind of a warning and something to tell you that something greater was going on. That part what was going on there did not fit with what he's trying to talk about here, which is opening doorways into other dimensions. So you can see now where he's veered off from that, but these are the things also that he was excited to share with you. He says, "It is my belief that such hauntings represent clues concerning a natural universe much larger and much stranger than we imagine. The walls of what we perceive as normality have a subtle flexibility. The spectral hauntings I have discussed represent attempts, perhaps random, but perhaps purposeful, certainly unsuccessful, to return to this time and space by elements of it somehow removed. If we are energetic and not a little lucky in our observations, students of the paraphysicality may one day be able to move up and down time, or to travel globally with minor effort, or to perceive that which at present lies completely beyond our senses. What waits beyond remains the supreme question, which for the present each must answer for himself. And with that, he concludes his lecture, and the trustees and others at the banquet you see are quite, there's an uproar of applause and cheers and, good show, old man, kind of things like that, where they're very impressed with what he had to say. And you see some are quietly mulling over what he has to say, and some are focused, they're like, wait, I could travel with little effort. Wait, how does that? And you see gears turning, and someone's like, that would mean the world to my business, or it would change the way our economy functions. Things like that. But yeah, he is economy. The economy. What this means for commerce is exhilarating. But he is congratulated by many of the trustees as he comes off the stage. You see wait staff already bringing out more bottles of port, more cigars, more wine. People are thrilled. This is, they just sit and talk about it, and little groups break off and start to discuss things as they have talked to Dr. Smith. And he approaches the four of you and wants to. Oh, what did you think? What did you think? Did you see the pictures? They turned out wonderfully. Not the sound. That was kind of a new technique. I was hoping that maybe we'd get something off the cylinder, but it was just a lot of rumbles and waves and wind.
A lot of falling down the stairs.
It had already stopped recording by then, thankfully.
You surprised me, Professor. You're actually quite knowledgeable about what we experienced there. I didn't expect the dissertation that you gave.
It's a lot to go over, and I find that it's easier to do in one large presentation as opposed to trying to explain it over and over again, especially when you're met with skepticism. Of course, rightly so, but I want to introduce scientific methodology into the study of magic, especially concerning, the possibility of opening like gates or a variety of gates, whether it's a gate that transports us in our own world or perhaps takes us to another entirely. And that's hard to get into in small talk.
I'm not sure I quite follow or believe that concept. I am just highly impressed. I expected you just to stand there and congratulate yourself for an hour about what an amazing, spectacular find you made, and it was actually quite illuminating.
I don't think that was... I hope that wasn't as insulting as it seems, but is it... that is not my nature. I really do want to encourage the exploration of the science. I want science to take things of this nature a little bit more seriously than they do. Skepticism is fine and healthy. I have my own skepticism about many things. It is why I have been able to uncover as many charlatans and pretenders as I have, but there are real things happening that I want to get to the bottom of, that I think science can. The idea that science can't explain these apparitions, I think, is short-sighted.
I would have to agree.
Professor, when you talk about gates, and you talk about travel, and you talk about the veil,
sure,
are you referring to astral projection?
As one of many, I mean, in some cases, yes. I think there are too many accounts of such phenomenon to completely ignore, as it were. It is harder to provide evidence of things of that nature, but I have met some that have been able to gather information that is otherwise they should not have been able to. We conducted one experiment one time, Beddoes and I, where we placed a placard that we had some words, nonsense words as it were, written upon. They meant, real words, but not a phrase or a sentence or anything. And we placed it in a location because we were dealing with someone who claimed that when they slept, they were walking outside of their physicality. And we placed that, monitored the man while he slept. He never left his bed, but in the morning he knew the words that were written upon the placard.
Well, if you were studying with traditional tools, you would not see him leave his bed. But it doesn't mean he didn't.
Well, see, this is what I'm talking about, though, and this is where, but science stops there. They don't want to explore any further into the ideas of magic, and magic is, I don't know if any of you have experienced anything. I've had a few experiences of the magical nature that, again, are completely unexplainable to some degree, and I just haven't been able to study them more closely.
I kind of glance at Cleo, and does the statue count as magic?
I believe most definitely it does.
Yeah.
Yeah, I witnessed it.
It was pretty magical. It did start to come to life, as it were.
Professor, you have spent quite a great deal of time on the continent. And have you found more of these apparitions?
There have been many others. I'm sorry, please go on.
I feel that the ones we saw in the lighthouse, I know that you still don't necessarily believe what we saw, but I feel like they were a warning. And if there are others that are like this, that are not charlatans, that perhaps there are warnings other places, that is concerning.
Absolutely. Unfortunately, in many cases, since they do not always communicate with us, to be a warning, you would think that they would communicate. Many of the ones that I have seen do not communicate. Now, the appearance in the lighthouse did seem to be communicating directly with us when it pointed its finger, silent of words, but a very pointed gesture.
Yeah.
And you all do contend that you dealt with some forces in the subcellar that were beyond our natural understanding, correct? I do wish that I had seen what had happened there, but I did not, and as such, I cannot present that sort of evidence, right? Surely you understand. It wasn't a slight to your accounts or your credibility. No. If I deemed you uncredible, I would not have invited you to the event.
I don't think any of that. I'm more concerned about the implications. If there are if there are similar apparitions other places, what the implication of that is for a larger impact on the world.
I agree. That is why we need more people studying such things. But unfortunately, it is... to be honest, this fascination of late with contacting the dead and trying to get signs, and I get the distinct sense that they are not interested in actually learning what the dead have to say, or the lessons that the dead may have to teach us.
Oh, they are in so much as it is entertaining. they don't wish to understand a deeper amount.
Exactly. And when giving these lectures, obviously I have to be entertaining to some point. You have to keep them on the chain, as it were, for a moment. But my conclusions and the lines that I've drawn, I fully believe are pointing to something far greater. And I don't know what that is. Whether they're all connected, I don't even know if I believe that. But they are definitely, they share the characteristics that make me believe that there is something more than what we can see and currently have the means to achieve. But, and as you talk, go ahead and give me, all of you, give me spot hiddens, if you will.
Is this one where I can use keen eye?
Sure.
Oh, I've got a
course.
reroll. I'm going to use a reroll.
Most of the spot hiddens, I think you can almost always use spot hidden. You're looking with your eyes.
Oh.
I used my reroll and succeeded.
I got to scroll down. It's too far up. I got a hard success.
So did I.
Oh, so did I.
Perfect.
Oh, fantastic. So, Cleo, are you the only one who did not get a success?
I think so.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. You are, I'm going to say, honestly, that you're actually a little surprised also by the way that he's talking about these things.
Absolutely. She's like listening very intently to everything that he said.
Fantastic. So, you don't take the time to look around. The other three, I'm not going to say their heads are on a swivel, but they are aware of what's going on around them, especially with Kelsey's background and Emily's background. You know, keeping an eye on the situation is always good practice. And then Johanna,
We're at a party.
you're skeptic. Yeah, you're at a party, and you know you're taking it all in. The three of you do notice that your conversation is being observed by another member of the party. He is a darker mustached man in his late 30s. He has a bushy mustache. The book actually says, and I think this is okay to say, I was really not sure, but it said he wears a mustache bushy enough to be classified as foreign to the investigators. So it is not one that you would normally see in high society. But as soon as this person notices that they've been observed, they make a gesture of apology and they disappear into the party. Now, Countess, you recognize this man as who was in the bookshop the night before, the customer.
The gentleman with the western or eastern accent.
Yes.
I'll lean over to Cleo. Do you remember the gentleman from the bookshop? Not the shopkeep, but the other gentleman. He seems to be here at this party and was observing us.
Interesting.
Professor, have you had any contact or any experiences that have left you with people that are unhappy with you?
I have. His face, you see him withdraw just a slight bit. And he glances around almost uncomfortably. You feel that you're getting an air of discomfort from him, and he looks around and he says, "Meet me at the Oriental Club tomorrow night, let's say. We can talk there. I don't wish to get into it here." And
At the Orient
he
Club?
says, and someone is like, Julius, come see us. And he's called over to you know, with a joke and handed a cigar by someone, and he leaves you.
That was at the Orient Club?
The Oriental Club.
Oriental.
I'm going to stop one of the gentlemen walking through, one of the servers that have, I'm sure, drinks, and say, there was a gentleman I saw just a few minutes ago that I wish to speak to, and I'll describe him. Where do you happen to know who he is? And if I need to, I can apply charm to this.
Go ahead and give me that charm roll. The staff member is contemplating, and he's kind of glancing around to see if he remembers.
That's a hard success.
Fantastic. He yeah, mustached. Yeah, I did see him. Funnily enough, I don't see him now. He said very little. Drank a few glasses of wine, but pretty much kept to himself.
You don't know his name by chance?
I don't. I was hired for this event. I'm not part of the trust at all. We're just the caterers.
There might be a guest list.
Yeah, other than members of the society, who else is here? Is it just people on invite from them?
People on invite. Some are able to secure tickets through various means, but again, I'm not really familiar with the custom. I don't know anybody who could get me in here except for this job.
I see. Thank you. I'll take whatever drink or whatever he's got and
okay.
take it with me to wherever.
Do you just take the bottle from him? He's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I do. I'm that kind of.
Okay.
I'm gonna start. Can I start scanning the room to see if I can see where he's heading towards? A door or another table or?
Sure. If once you've clocked that, yeah, go ahead. Give me a spot hidden.
Uh, 27. That's a hard success.
Do you think we need to be worried about him? She's asking Kelsey.
It seemed like he was really interested in us, and then when he saw us noticing him, he just got up and walked away.
Perhaps
he did kind of give you a shrug of apology, as though he acknowledged that yes, he'd been watching you, but he apologized and turned.
He could be after the professor. He could be, I don't know, a rival, but seems kind of suspicious.
With that roll, you think that you are able to catch sight of the back of his head as it goes through a particularly dense crowd of banquet attendees, but you again lose sight of him, and you do not see where he went.
Do I recognize anyone else here from society?
Perhaps maybe a couple other people from the Imperial College have maybe the professor of or not the professor, but the student of metaphysics. That this is right up their alley, kind of the fringe ideas, and the one who didn't particularly care to be questioned too much on anything by the occultist.
I'm gonna see if I can approach them and check in with them to see if they know who that was. I'll appropriately smooth myself into the conversation and make it seem like that's not the only reason I'm there, but that's the only reason I'm there.
Sure. When you mentioned the gentleman, nobody at the party seems to really have acknowledged that there was someone there. That they're like, I don't know. I was talking to Gaz here, and everything was. We were having a good chuckle about. He spent some time in Majorca last month, and it was quite an event.
Majorca is quite an event most times. All right, I'll stay what's appropriate to just talk, and then
you'll chill with them until you can't hide your boredom anymore and run off, because it's just ego fluffing.
This character has social graces that I do not. So
the ego fluffing is perpetual and seemingly endless, and they're just old fruit.
Are we also the only women there?
No. Surprisingly, no. But there are not many. There's definitely more women on the wait staff than there are on on the on the board of trustees. So after Julius Smith, Professor Smith, he makes his congratulations. At some point, he bids you all farewell. Once again, reiterates that he would like to speak with you the next night at the Oriental Club, and but leaves you after the party. You all disperse. I assume you take the ride back to Johanna's. Do you choose to stay at Johanna's at this time, or do you go back to the hostel and to the hotel? Kelsey and Cleo.
If invited, I might stay there tonight.
Yeah, you're all welcome to stay with me.
Yeah, I may stay there. I'll stay there tonight.
You have to go back anyway to return the outfits, so, I mean...
Yeah.
You have been drinking, all of you.
Ooh, return the outfits? Okay.
One of the...
They've worn them once. They can keep them.
I still got the tag right here. I mean, I just kept it tucked in my... No.
Tucked in my watch band. Yeah, I mean, you have been warned by people once you arrived in London that it is pretty late in the evening. The Countess had secured travel, or like cars and things for you after the New Year's Eve event. But this night, you do know that you do need to worry about pickpockets and things of that nature. So going out late and just roaming around, huh?
I said, what pockets?
Right, there's no pockets in that dress. But yeah, so you all stay, and the next day, I'm sure there's, it's probably not, the Countess has seen you enough that she's like, we'll eat, but it's not going to be fancy every day. I mean, it'll be nicer than probably what you'd get at a corner kiosk, but it's not, there's not going to be like 7-course breakfast. Yeah, there's no 7-course breakfast.
It's like 3 courses. Come on, we have standards.
Exactly. Yes.
Well.
So you guys get through the day. You do again some more sightseeing. You stop over by the Tower of London to see the ravens, and you stop by. I'm sorry?
I was going to say, at some point I need to, while we're going around, if I see an office that would allow me to send a telegram, I'm going to be sending off a telegram.
Oh, of course. I believe you can probably do that at either one of the Royal Mail locations or even one of the train stations. You could send I assume a transatlantic.
Yeah.
Go back to the States, yeah. You can
short and
send
sweet. It'll short and sweet because transatlantic, it costs money. Would be job is complete, payment was offered, penalties extracted.
Okay, fantastic. Penalties extracted. That sounds rough.
Payment offered.
Payment, yeah. Nice. Let's see here. Sorry, I was looking for one little thing. Didn't really find it, but here we are. So, yeah, you send that off. All is well. It'll take some time for you to hear back on that. You would have to check back in a couple days.
Actually, I'm not worried about hearing back from it because, we've got our system, so I'm good. Unless he wants me to do something else. Yeah.
So you send your telegram, you go see the Tower of London, you go probably maybe to St. Paul's Cathedral. It's a very famous place. If any of you enjoy art and history, this is kind of a good place to go. In the crypt beneath St. Paul's, like the first Duke of Wellington is interred there. Horatio Nelson is there. Also, some of the famous painters of England during the recent centuries. It's a well-loved cathedral. I believe the Traveler's Companion actually says that Londoners bestow affection upon St. Paul's that they do not even offer to the equally as venerable Westminster Abbey. So Americans and tourists are like, Big Ben is the thing. Londoners are like St. Paul's. And there's a beautiful dome atop St. Paul's that offers a great view of the city. So, you do some sightseeing, you kill some time until you get to the Oriental Club.
Can I
yes.
go back to the bookstore and inquire with the the bookstore owner about the guy?
Sure.
And this time, Emily wants to accompany Johanna just for safety reasons, in case this was one of those suitors.
Yeah, so I'll go into the bookstore and approach the book.
Okay.
The owner. If everybody else is with me, that's fine. I'll look at Cleo and then pointedly look at Kelsey like you're in charge of that. And then go to the counter. He didn't have any spoons to steal, so I assume it's books then.
We're just assuming the worst
later
all
on
the time.
Haskins later on in the course of history, sometime in the 90s, is known for stealing an arcane tome. So this is actually
it actually does,
a flash forward to another Call of Cthulhu game. No.
So I will approach him and
Countess, it is so wonderful to see you again.
I was wondering, there was a gentleman here the other day when I was here with Ms. Dandridge, and he was speaking to you about a few things. I was just wondering, do you know who he is?
You mean the man with the mustache?
Yes.
It was almost improper. The girth of that mustache. No man's facial hair should be that thick. It was quite intimidating, as it is. He was interested on various things. He was looking more for history, which is not something that I carry a lot of, but he was also looking for information on cults. And I tried to explain to him that the occult is different than, like, cult. And I don't have a lot of things on cults here. I have, most of my books are esteemed tomes about rituals and rites and things of that nature. He was looking for cults of Asia that I just have no, I don't have any. I don't traffic in that.
What sort of history was he looking for? Did he say?
Mostly, like the Byzantine Empire and things of that nature, and cults that might have been active during those. He used a lot of. Again, would you like some seance candles? I'm running a sale this week.
I'll take out enough money to buy a good meal, like a good meal for me, whatever that is, and I will put it just on the counter, and I'll say, "What cults was he asking about? Do you remember a name?"
Oh, he wasn't very specific, or maybe I wasn't listening too closely. He's a bit distracted with the money that you have put down on the table, but he quickly grabs his till and he just whoop, and puts it back over to the side. He's like, but something about the skin, maybe the fraternity of the skin. The brothers of something like that, like the brothers of the something ridiculous. I mean, surely a cult would have a better name than that.
I can't say that I have. Oh, well, perhaps it wouldn't. And specifically, that was from areas around the Byzantine Empire.
Well, yeah. I mean, he was asking about those things in conjunction. I don't know. I assume that maybe that was from that area, but it was. It's very strange. He was also looking for like sketches of like statues. It is not what I sell here. It is not what I tend to be focused on.
Did you send him to another shop?
No. I mean, I told him there's a library. I don't know of any books around here that would have that. Or he could go to the college.
Do you think
Perhaps
that the
and see,
reading
but the
room,
British Museum
perhaps?
has the reading room that he could have possibly gone to get some Stigor's Tomes. But even that, the British Museum's reading room is classic, is like early books, and it's not like necessarily reference materials. You understand? So he could go to the library where they have reference sections and see if there's anything about that. But I don't know anybody who would have those obscure knowledge. We have tons of writings in the area on the Empire, but beyond the reaches of the king of the queen, I don't have, or king, I don't have much.
I'll look over at Cleo. Like, am I missing something? Is there a question about this gentleman that we haven't asked?
She thinks on it because she's been perusing, with one in this conversation.
Sure.
Does she actually, before I have her ask anything, does she recognize anything that he's talking about? Does anything ping in the back of her mind?
Go ahead and give me an intelligence roll.
Okay. That's a 40 even, so that's a hard success.
Nice. Okay. The stuff about Byzantine and things like that, not really. You think that you don't have a whole lot of knowledge in that area, but you have seen some tomes that your father had in the shop, and some maybe that are in your collection back home that you didn't spend a ton of time with because it didn't deal necessarily with the things that you were focused on at the time. Mm-hmm. But they did. You saw names of cults. Where, maybe Brothers of the Skin is something that you've heard of, but you don't know any specifics about it. But it's like that name seems like something that tickles something in the back of your brain, but you really don't. You don't have any details on it, but it's not as far-fetched as the bookkeep seems to think. Think it is, or the shopkeep.
Is there a professor of archaeology at the Imperial College?
I'm sure there is.
I will ask to borrow the phone and then see if we can set up a quick meeting with that professor today, specifically about things related to the Byzantine Empire and a cult, and just informational things.
Okay. When you make that call, that the professor of archaeology seems to be indisposed for the rest of the day, but perhaps tomorrow might be able to meet. But very, very full schedule. He's spending some time with Alfred P. Maudsley and helping continue to as the exhibit at the British Museum has opened. He's very active in helping out and having classes at the museum to go over some of the things that are going on there, because this is a big exhibit opening.
I will definitely set an appointment then for him.
Okay. Anything else at the bookshop? The book. He does say again. I have a sale on candles. We have some simple tapered, and we also have tea lights. But whatever your needs are. But of course, I'm selling them in packs of 5, one for each point of the pentagram. So it's a good deal.
Leo's like, thank you so much. I'm full up on pentagram candles.
You seem like you're well in the trade.
Indeed.
I'm just gonna slide a small business card across, and it's like, contact me if you want to help secure your more valuable books in your collection.
He looks at your card. Locksmith. I mean, I've got. Do you like security services? You also do. Quite
Not security, but
interesting.
we provide state-of-the-art safes and locks to protect your more valuable stuff. We're making some inroads here in England and across Europe. My boss is fairly well known for his trade. If you just need it, there you go. You can contact us about that.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. I will keep this and perhaps reach out. Should more things, and he looks at the Countess, more things of great value come into my possession.
The Countess is good. She's gonna, unless someone else wants to ask questions, she's good to head out.
Okay.
That was good.
The four of you exit, and we are coming up to our wrap point, so we'll probably go ahead and stop here, and we'll start the next session next week with meeting Professor Smith at the Oriental Club. But yes, the four of you return, go about your business for the rest of the day until such a time as you arrive at the Oriental Club in London and are shown to where Professor Smith is seated. And we will get to that next week. So I thank you all for joining me today. I know this was kind of a expository episode where we kind of rehashed a lot of stuff and introduced our characters of the hour. But stay tuned. Tune in next week. Again, we will have another giveaway for a Pulp Cthulhu PDF code that you can use at the Chaosium Ink store at chaosium.com. Again, my cast is Alyssa Appleton as Cleo Dandridge, Alla Zilla as Emily Brandt, Shawn Parks as Kelsey Haskins, and Matt Quiett as Countess Johanna Elizabeth Frederica Rinaldi Stod. I think I missed one.
Real close. That's really good.
Yeah. I'm working on it.
I work for her, and I don't know all of the names.
Yeah, I mean,
And you don't care either.
It honestly doesn't matter.
Does anyone have anything they want to promote real fast before we say goodbye? Got anything going on, Alyssa? Or?
Tomorrow is our big first contact on Star Trek, so come out for the Sartorian Nucracy. That's what it is, and meet
the
them.
Sartorian Nudist Secrecy.
Nucracy. I don't know why your mind went to nudist.
You said noonist. So and that is not the first contact on the show. We did meet the Electric Nebula people. I remember that quite distinctly.
This is the first planned one. Yes, and they were fantastic people.
Well, no, we met the bug people. That was kind of our first contact.
Oh, that's right.
Okay,
that's right.
So this is the first one of this season. How about that?
The first one that's planned is what you said. Yeah. Alyssa, do you have anything to promote?
Not really at the moment that I can necessarily discuss, but I mean, if you can find me online at Alyssa Appleton on Instagram and Twitter, and I usually forget to post, but I do it sometimes.
That's all right. And Alla, as she said, is going to be in Pirates and maybe some stuff later that she hinted at.
Shawn, be later on.
Yeah, that's fine. Shawn, you're on Star Trek.
I'm on Star Trek. I'm, of course, here. I will be on Kids on Bike next Saturday. So it's always fun.
Awesome. Yeah, he was with us. He was with us yesterday on Mistborn. So we did play Mistborn. Go to check out our YouTube channel to check out the.
One of my favorite settings.
It's a great setting. It's a great book. And then Matt's on Star Trek and he's here. So, are you playing video games on your private stream yet, Matt? Regularly?
I have to tear down the basement from Xcrawl because we were using it as a studio, so that should be starting back up in the next couple of weeks, if not quicker than that. And I want to get back into playing Kingdom Hearts since I've not played it yet.
Okay, fantastic. Well, again, thank you all. You can find all of us on the internet somewhere. My name is Rue, and I thank you so much for joining me on this premiere of our Horror on the Orient Express, and we will be back next Sunday. Tune in, check our schedule for other shows that are coming up this week, and we bid you all farewell and good night, and good gaming. So, good night.
Good
Love
week.
you.
Night. Bye.
Bye-bye.